Hi, today we're doing something for this week's CodePen challenge, which is 100 horizontal rows. Well, vertical in this case. You might be thinking, this looks pretty simple, we just animate the height of those bars, right? Well, there are a couple of problems with doing that. The first one is that animating the height of the bars also shrinks and expands the height of the background gradient, which we actually want to stay constant regardless of the height of the bars. The second problem is the performance of animating a layout affecting property such as height. Well, if that's an issue, then we can animate another property that doesn't affect layout and doesn't even cause repaint, and that's transform. So we can apply something like transform scale Y. However, this has the exact same effect over the background height. It shrinks it and expands it, and it does the exact same thing to the vertical border radius. We can get around that by somehow reverse scaling both the background size and the border radius, but this means animating two extra properties, both of which cause repaint. Now, I've talked about how animating this or that property may cause issues, but there's something else that is even more problematic for performance, and that's the number of elements we animate. So if we were to double the number of elements we animate, that would be a really bad idea. And embarrassing coding confessions, it's something I've done in the past while seeking to only animate properties such as transform and opacity, which don't cause a relayout and don't cause a repaint. So what I do in a case like this would be to set overflow hidden and border radius on the bar elements, translate them down, put the background in a pseudo element, and translate that one up by the same amount that I've translated down its parent. So this would mean that the bottom edge of the pseudo element, which has the background and is the only visible part, stays always at the same height. The problem with this is that it's doubling the number of elements that get animated, because it's both the pseudo elements and their parents. So that's twice the number of elements, and it's even worse for performance. What I will be showing you today is a solution that only animates a single property, which does cause repaint but doesn't cause a relayout, and is only happening on the elements. We're not using any pseudos, we're not animating any extra elements. So let's get started. We start with the size of the grid, and that's going to be 10 because that's square root of 100 and that's the number we want. So yeah, we're kind of reversing that somehow. Whatever, and we're going to put them on a grid, and in the style attribute we'll set the number of columns and rows, so the number of rulers per edge, whatever, the number of items per edge, something like that. I'm often not really sure what I should call things because I don't know, I don't think of them in terms of names or anything like that, so it's kind of weird for me to give anything a name when I actually think in visuals, and I don't, yeah. So having done this, let's move on to the CSS, and we'll settle upon a width, so let's say something like 2ems, and a height for the bars. Oh, this is going to go up to m, and this is going to be 9ems. Okay, something like this. So give them that width, give them the height. Okay, give them a background. So this is going to be something like a linear gradient, let's say, and we're going to use that color list from there. Okay, let's just like a sort of a reset or something. Okay, having done this as well. Okay, so this looks good so far. Let's set on the grid, let's set display grid, grid template, no, just set grid template, repeat, this is going to be the rows n, and we'll give them a height of 0. You'll see in a moment. Just y. Actually, we can just, yeah. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. Okay, so this is going to be both for rows and columns. Let's set a grid gap. This is going to be 0 for rows, and let's say it's going to be half the width for columns. Okay, something else we want to do is for the body, also set display grid, place content center, so we have our grid in the middle. Let's give it a height that's the full viewport height, 100. For some reason that, okay. Let's also set a perspective, something like this. Let's maximize this because it's getting annoying otherwise. Okay, let's decide upon a rotation angle, so let's say something like 55 degrees. So here let's set transform style preserve 3D, transform rotate X, that angle. Then we'll take this, right, and let's set transform origin, and let's put this at the bottom. Okay, and this is going to be with a minus, like this. Okay, and something else I want to set, place self. Okay, this is much better. Okay, so this is starting to look like something. Let's set the background here, the last color in that list. Okay, so having done this, let's create that rounding there at the top. So we'll do that, okay, with a rectangle, which is going to be inset 0 for now. We're going to tweak this later. Round, and this takes something like a border radius value. So it's going to be, let's compute this. So the radius is going to be half the width. Okay, so actually I think we can collapse these because we won't be needing any of that part anymore. So this is going to be the radius, and again the radius for the next corner, right? Okay, and then we're going to have at the bottom, we're going to have 0 and 0, and clip path. This should do it. Okay, this looks great. So this is really weird. So somehow the alignment gets messed up by that minus there. I wonder if I do like this. Yeah, for some weird reason that messes up the alignment. So I can do something like this. Okay, and what I'll want to change is the top inset, so I'll have something like the top inset, and these work just like a margin or something like that. So this first value is going to be for the top, the second one is going to be for the lateral ones, and the last value is going to be for the bottom. So this is going to be 0. Okay, and we have that rounding right there. And now we're going to register this custom property. So property top. This is going to have syntax length percentage, and this you can use both and calc combinations between them. Then we'll have initial value. It's dash separated in CSS. It's camel cased in JS. So this is going to be 0 pixels, and it doesn't need to inherit. So inherits is false because we don't need that. Okay, Now what we'll be doing is keyframes top, so 2, let's say top 50%, something there. Okay, and then we'll have animation top easing out infinite alternate, and let's see how this works. Property top, okay, syntax length percentage. Oh, is it because of that there? No, for some reason this doesn't. Property. Did I spell anything wrong? Seriously. So it's like property. Did I spell property wrong? Did I spell anything wrong there? Initial value, inherits. Inherits. That's what I spelled wrong. So yeah, when it doesn't work, it's probably a spelling issue. I can't believe it took me so long to notice that. Okay, so having done this, let's get back to this part a bit. So let's say we'll have a style, and within it we're going to have another loop. So this is only going to go up to n, and okay, okay, and here we'll have nth child. So for every new row, so that's going to be n plus I times n plus 1. So whenever we start a new row, we'll be setting row to I, and now for every nth, right, so for every nth item starting at I plus 1, we're going to have the column. So what we need to set here is an animation delay. So animation delay, this is going to be calc, and actually we'll be setting the animation duration here like this, and use that here. Row plus column, okay, over n times that animation duration. Okay, let's make it with minus so that we don't wait for stuff to start. That looks good. Something else you can do here is have a translation before anything else. So translate y, so for example half the height, something like this. Okay, it froze. Let's save this and let's refresh, because I've been having this problem with my laptop, so it happens. Okay, it's not loading anymore. CodePen but yeah, it should really work as it does here. So I don't know what's happening with CodePen right now. I hope it's not going to last too long, but I will be ending the video here. I won't be wasting any more of your time, and I will be linking stuff in the description as well as some resources. So this dissects various methods for expanding a box while preserving the border radius, which is pretty related to the things discussed here. Oh, I'm noticing the embeds aren't loading here either, so I don't know, might be a CodePen problem. And this one is emulating CSS timing functions with JavaScript, because sometimes it's a lot more convenient and also better for performance if we're animating something like a custom property to animate it from the JS instead of doing this little Houdini trick. Both because of support and both because of current performance. So this may change in the future, but currently if we animate a custom property with JavaScript, it's more performant than animating it this way. I wanted to do a pure CSS demo, so it's for demo purposes and it's for future purposes, because in the future it should have better performance, but for the moment it doesn't have good enough support and it doesn't have good enough performance for you to use it on a real website, hopefully in the future. So this is about emulating CSS timing functions with JavaScript, and again this is also about animating stuff by animating the custom properties. This is in particular about gradients, how you can animate various components of a gradient. So again, it's about the animating custom property topic. So yeah, I'll leave you with these resources. They will all be linked in the description. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you like the work that I've been putting out for more than 8 years now, please consider supporting it. You can do so by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon. The link is going to be in the description, or you can get me something off my Amazon wishlist. Again, the links are going to be in the description, or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days. For now, just to play, but hopefully for more than that in the future. In any event, thanks for watching, and until next time.